listening show with Johnny and Ben Hooper. Please, God, select us for stardom. Welcome to our Mystery Island, where we raised good ideas from frog embryos so that tourists can view them in wonder. Today we're talking about I wanted to just do a single movie review. I'm sure we'll talk about Jurassic Park at large, but we just wanted to talk to Joe Johnson. He directed it, right?
Yeah, Joey J. Steven
Joey
Spielberg,
J.
executive producer.
And Steven Spielberg and Sam Neill? Why not Sam Neill?
The ghost of Michael Crichton.
The ghost of Michael Crichton, the ghost of
Or the cloned from a frog embryo Michael Crichton.
Ooh. He's got feathers too. There's some debate whether the original Michael Crichton had feathers, but the one they grew did.
Right, the fourth generation Michael Crichtons all have just a little Roadrunner feather on top.
So yeah, today we're talking about Jurassic Park 3.
I have a proposition I'd like to discuss with you.
It could almost be paradise. My God, I'd forgotten.
We have a landing strip up
You
ahead.
cannot land on this island.
Oh my God!
Came out in 2001, just in time for my 11th birthday, and cinema has not been the same since.
I have a question for you before we get into it. I'm curious, was this the first Jurassic Park movie that you saw in the theaters?
No. I went and saw The Lost World at probably 5 or 6 or 7, and was also probably too young for that. I was
Go. Who do I go when I'm out? I'm right back.
doing a lot of screaming and cowering in the theater, but that was my first Jurassic Park movie, and so I was stupid excited for the next one.
Okay. I'm constantly trying to find ways to justify why you like this movie so much.
Any weirdness is our 6-year difference, almost always.
Right.
The movie was definitely like made for me. It was definitely made for the kids. I feel
No, absolutely.
And I rewatched it today. I rewatched it earlier this week, and it's definitely the one I've seen the most. But I will say, now that we're in the show, and I cannot tell a lie, it is only my second favorite Jurassic Park movie. I think I still like Jurassic World the most. But I think Jurassic Park 3, I was like, is it better than Jurassic, or is it better than Lost World for me? I don't know. Well, first of all these Jurassic Park movies I like. I don't think there's a bad one.
I think there's a bad one.
The last one?
Yeah, Jurassic World 2 Dominion is awful.
Okay. I think all the rest of the Jurassic Parks, 1, 2, 3, and World are all interchangeably good movies to me.
The first trilogy especially, like each film is kind of going for a different thing. Like the first movie is very into the awe and wonder and the majesty and the look, a dinosaur, ooh and ah. And then the second movie is a lot more action focused. I would say it's a lot like there are dangerous situations in all of them, but the second one's all about the dangerous situation and the Godzilla references and like it's all danger,
dinosaurs.
Breakneck pace, suspense, actiony. And then this one is more like a family adventure. It's something more in the vein of like an Indiana Jones movie that they didn't really care if adults like it. It's very like Jumanji tone. The tone is very like that kind of 90s film. And I think that's part of why it didn't connect with me as well originally, but I do kind of like it better now.
I thought I was going to rewatch it this week and I hate it or it would age poorly. I'd be like, oh, I forgot about that. But honestly, like the kid is not as annoying as I remember. He's, I think, very standard to low annoying for a kid. And then like all of the little like quips and jokes I thought would age poorly, but they're just, I don't know, they're kind of dumb, but none of them are like, I wasn't cringing at anything in particular.
Honestly, I found like the 25-year-old character far more annoying than the kid.
Oh yeah,
This one. Billy's the fucking worst.
Billy is the
He's
annoying
worse
little
than
kid.
any kid in any Jurassic Park movie.
He
And I
is.
stand by that. But the kid stuff is interesting because it's another like progression through the trilogy. Is in every film the children become more powerful. Like in the first movie, we've got Lex, who's a super hacker, can just sit there at the computer and create cartoons that do things in the real world like hackers do. And then in the
Like
second movie, we've got gymnast ninja Kelly, parallel bar kicking a raptor out a window. And then this one, we just have Tarzan boy living in the dinosaur jungle for 3 weeks, surviving and climbing
Tarzan
trees.
Boy. Eric Kirby is a Kevin McAllister in the flesh.
It is. He is kind of, prehistoric Home Alone.
Oh, that I was thinking about that while watching this. Is they should have almost entirely removed the first half of the movie and made it about Eric surviving, and then maybe just cut in the movie we had right when Alan Grant finds him.
See, there's their concept for a 90s tie-in animated series that they never did. That should have been the Fox Kids Saturday Morning, is Eric's adventures on the island. And they drag
Yeah.
it out to 300 episodes, even though it's only like 3 weeks of time.
She says it's 4 weeks, so like 2
4
months.
weeks.
So
Yeah.
you could get 120 episodes out of that.
Sure. Phineas and Ferb's like single summer was like 300 episodes long, so whatever.
I would watch that show. Eric Kirby playing Minecraft on Isla Snorna. Oh, that was a weird Freudian slip. Isla
Isla
Snorna.
Snorna. Ho ho! Ho ho! We're getting commentary.
But today we're going to talk about Jurassic Park 3 specifically, kind of going through it, what we liked, what we didn't like.
Kid is stranded on Dinosaur Island after taking an illegal parachuting tour. Alan Grant and his parents of 90s actors go to the island and rescue him. The end, and no one dies.
Nobody matters dies.
Yeah, well, no named characters that they bother to give you connections to die.
I was avoiding saying named characters. This movie goes out of its way to throw these corpses names before they
Right, no, I mean, I know Dead Paratrooper has names and stuff, but I mean, like
That's
characters who you have actually met and spoken to and be like, I understand who this person is, and now, they're dead.
Yeah, Jurassic Park 3 is a pretty standard save the kid story. There's not a lot of like commentary on do dinosaurs deserve life. There's not a lot of science. It's mostly just like you said, a get in, get out Indiana Jones story. And not a bad idea.
It's very straightforward, and that kind of, I think, lends itself to seeing this as more of a children's movie. Like, Spielberg always makes his family films, but like the first two movies, get brutal at points and like make children scream and cover their eyes and like, oh no, scary parts. This one, like, the scary parts are mostly just dinosaurs fighting other dinosaurs. Like, the pterodactyls are kind of scary, but like,
The most
there's
horrifying
no real stakes because good guys don't die.
the most horrifying thing is that dude getting like stepped on and then his like head kind of bitten and neck broken in a weird way. And then I mean if you empathize with the T-Rex, his death is pretty hard, but besides that,
No,
it's
I did like that's actually the one character death in this that hits me.
never forget. But no, it's a pretty gentle movie. And honestly, the real family trying to get back their kids is the Velociraptor. Was I this many years old before I realized that parallel? Yeah, I am. I am ashamed of it. I love when I go back and watch a movie and they're like really kind of jazzed about some new tech that we are now used to. I'm also reminded of like GPS and some of the 90s Pierce Brosnan James Bond movies. GPS was like a big deal and almost magic. This one has a prototyping machine, which is
3D printer.
an early 3D printer, 2001. They don't call it a 3D printer, but they awkwardly describe it in the same way
Right,
that
which
we understand them to be.
might have been real technology at the time. It's just that I think everyone's dad didn't have one yet.
It was the sort of technology you would find in like maybe university science departments as like an
Yeah.
interesting little gizmo, or can maybe, like they were saying, make prototypes before it kind of had the consumer stamp of a 3D printer.
This is brilliant, Billy. Really, it is.
Another little fun thing why you can tell this is 2001, Alan Grant couldn't just Google search Kirby Enterprises.
Right.
One Google search,
He
he's
had
like,
to Yahoo search it.
do you have anything to do with this bath and tile store? I liked the Q&A scene where Alan Grant he's just so sick of only being known as the survivor of Jurassic Park. But of course, that's what everybody wants to. And you can just tell he's done a
Mhm.
bunch of these lectures, just trying to scrape up some money. And every time he gets these sea of hands, I think it's a pretty funny joke.
No, I think that's a good bit, actually. I like a lot of the Alan Grant character stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It really did seem like this is a guy who went through this thing, and it led to him being here in his life with, the Q&A and the thing, with him and Ellie, like, not being together, which makes me sad, because, of course, I wanted them to be together, but also there's something very real about them having ended up in different on different paths, but still
Mhm.
being like on friendly terms.
I'd forgotten just how in the same vein as the first two, this one was mostly practical, but you can start to see them using a lot more fast and loose CGI.
Yeah, there's a
The,
few
the
more seams showing in this one than in the previous one, which I think, to be fair, had a few more scenes than the one before that.
Yeah, Spinosaurus sometimes looks like one of those Gungan pack animals that they ride on. It's a little floaty sometimes.
Feel like if William H. Macy had been upfront with Grant from the beginning, he would have had an easier time convincing him. Be like, hey, so there's a child in mortal danger on a dinosaur island. I need an expert to help me rescue him. I feel like would be a pitch that he would be open to.
No,
More than, I'm a rich guy and I want to look at some dinosaurs.
So, all right, let's talk about the Spinosaurus in the room. The Spinosaurus.
Okay.
I really like the Spinosaurus, but I understand kind of how he is not only eating the Tyrannosaurus, he's eating all the nostalgia in the room. Spielberg in his orbit learned a lot about you can't really piss on nostalgia. And
Yeah, I
people
feel
did
like their
not
thinking
appreciate
was, we
what.
need something bigger. We have to be bigger. It's got to be bigger this time. What do you got that's bigger? Like, maybe we're not actually that, like, enthused about bigger, bigger, bigger. And you're right, like, nostalgia means, like, we want to see T-Rexes. We want to see T-Rex do some shit. We don't want to see T-Rex get his ass beat. At the end of Dark Knight Rises, does Bane break Batman's neck? No.
Probably could have.
We want to see Batman win at the end.
I think they didn't realize how much the audience would empathize with these horrible lizard monsters. Not only has this T-Rex never been in any. Well, it could have been one of the ones in Lost World. It could have been the baby from Lost World. I think I've seen written.
Maybe.
And if it
Oh,
would be-
no! No, I don't like that. That
I
makes me
think it would
sadder.
be been one of the parents, could have been the baby, but it wasn't Rexy as the fandom knows them as now. Like, let's kill it and make a bigger one. It'll sell more, it'll sell some new action figures.
Like,
I have my
that's something
Spinosaurus action
Spielberg, of
figure.
all people, should have known.
I liked what they were doing. Like, clearly had some Harryhausen inspiration, some Godzilla inspiration, like you were saying.
Mm.
The fight scene is very brief, but they were doing something with it.
I get it. I get why it's
had a
there and why
vision.
it exists, and I don't hate it.
Mhm.
There are
But
things that I think look really good in that sequence, things that don't look so good in that sequence. And,
that
who doesn't want to see two giant fucking dinosaurs just beating the shit out of each other?
and
Another interesting thing that I saw about that is that the reason that they didn't encounter any signs of a Spinosaurus in the Lost World, and this was revealed in their viral marketing campaign. They had fake websites for InGen that they did. They had a fake website for a dinosaur protection Greenpeace group that was lobbying to leave the dinosaurs alone. And according to that website, they claimed that InGen scientists had gone back to Isla Sorna in between The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, did some more illegal cloning experiments, and then left.
like you do.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate returning to the crime scene.
And that's where the Spinosaurus came from, and a couple of the other species that shouldn't have really been around.
It was just like BD Wong's just like, I gotta just one more dinosaur.
I'm just a dinosaur. Come
on. There's a lot of good little jump scares in this movie. I love the hallucinated Velociraptor on the plane.
Alan.
See, I was thinking about that because that's one of the things that for young Ben stands out as this movie's fucking stupid. This movie's bullshit. But now I watch it again as an older person, free from the burden of expectation, and I'm like, love that stupid shit. That's so it's just a fucking Muppet dinosaur riding a plane going, Alan.
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 Well, that's all. It's so quick. I remember as a kid it actually being like a little jump scare. It startled me because it does kind of come out of nowhere. There's also when they're in the compound, that very silhouetted Velociraptor running in the background. That's still a pretty effective spook, I think. That would fit well in a straight up horror movie. And then when Alan Grant's on his own, he looks away, he looks back at the tree, and the Velociraptor's just waiting for him. That moment got me too, especially as a kid.
Little clever girl moment.
Yeah, totally. And so it does sprinkle in a couple jump scares, but it's never scary or horrifying, just enough to get a kid's attention, where to go. Those feathered Velociraptors, I think they look so good. They're the frosted tips of dinosaur skin, honestly. Just so good.
I've warmed to the feathered raptors. It again, like I said before, if you just accept that dinosaur science doesn't apply to Jurassic Park science, why not? After a few generations of velociraptors, they've got goofy Roadrunner feathers that are nothing like the actual feathers velociraptors had, but velociraptors had feathers, and their DNA isn't 100% dinosaur, so it's whatever. Four generations, and now they have Roadrunner feather hats.
Well, I think they do. It makes sense in story in a way because it's only the males are implied to have it, and that sort of tracks with birds. A lot of male birds.
It's like a plumage.
Beautiful plumage, isn't it? The plumage didn't enter into it.
Have
like a bird plumage.
Oh, and another thing I was going to say with Velociraptors, theoretically, all of the ones we had been seeing in the previous movies were female. So, we just never saw the feathered ones before.
Oh.
They hadn't, genders shifted yet. Any other fun things you noticed while watching the movie?
We're talking about good things.
Yeah, I don't have any bad things. I have not a single criticism for this movie, so that'll be all you.
I really liked the bit in the pterosaur enclosure. I thought the pterosaur enclosure was really cool.
It's a bird cage.
It's a big old giant bird cage, and it's scary to be in there. And this is one of my main criticisms of this film that has remained consistent from young to now. They should have just fucking killed Billy. We should have seen Billy get torn limb from limb by a pterosaur.
He was definitely holding all the karma weight of all the evil in this movie.
Yeah, they set him up so hard to be the character that dies and you don't feel that bad about it. And they could have just left him dead. I like when they think that he's dead and Grant's like, oh no, the last thing that I told him was that this was all his fault. It was the last. And I was like, no, the last thing you told him was, Billy, no! Totally different.
Billy saw you trying to save him. I was thinking about that too. Like clearly, you guys might not have a professional relationship, but he's not gonna like feed you to a dinosaur.
It's a children's adventure movie, and that's fine. It is what it is. I think that they didn't have to steer that hard into making it such a family adventure movie. This movie's biggest problem is that Jurassic Park and The Lost World Jurassic Park exist. In a world where those movies hadn't been made, and this was the first Jurassic Park movie, I think it would be much more widely beloved. I think people would love this film. It's just that they'd already had two much better ones, and then suddenly this one, and it's like, It's not quite like a Ninja Turtles 3 situation, but it's like a much smaller scale, I think, problem of Ninja Turtles 3. The returns have very clearly diminished. Like, we talked about how this one has a very straightforward ABC plot of rescue kid, get off island. I think part of the reason that it has such a straightforward story and plot is because they didn't have a finished script when they started shooting. They'd gotten pretty far with one of their previous script ideas that they tossed out just like 6 weeks before filming started, so they were still working on the replacement.
That version would be fun to talk about for a brief moment because it had a lot more going on. It had like a kind of a Jurassic World kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, you're talking about the one where there was a pteranodon that was flying off the island and doing raids on the mainland.
Grant is already on the island, kind of doing.
Yeah, well, that was Spielberg's original idea for Jurassic Park 3. Was Grant living in a treehouse on one or the other islands?
Yeah, I didn't realize how many previous versions of this had Alan Grant going a little Tarzan on the islands. I kind of want to see that now.
Right? No, I think that would have been an awesome. Even though, like I said, like the parts of this movie that I like the most are the Grant character stuff. I think it would have been awesome if they'd gone the other direction and instead had him become just absolutely obsessed with the living dinosaurs. And it kind of lines up with the first movie and how he was like, reaching out to touch the Brachiosaurus and falling in love with these majestic creatures. Like, I could totally see Jurassic Park 1 Alan Grant becoming a tree hermit scientist with like a crazy Swiss Family Robinson treehouse full of computers. No, he hates computers. Full of books, models,
dinosaur bits,
anything but computers and children.
3D printed vocal cords.
Yeah. Let's talk about the 3D printed vocal cords.
Yeah, no, totally.
It reminds me slightly of, have you seen the viral video that's like a clip of...
But this week, researchers in England let us hear what a real mummy sounds like.
Like, it gets me every time. That video circulates every year or two, so you're sure to come across it eventually.
I'm gonna find it and put it in the video.
Like, yeah, you'd think that they would try to, like, okay, here's his voice, and we're gonna have him, like, say some Egyptian or something. But I bet that's what it sounds like to the raptors when Grant is just blowing through the vocal cords, going... And therefore, I'm just gonna blow some shit into a little, like, shofar and say, step the fuck off in Raptor.
Of a Ocarina.
Yeah, the Ocarina of Time. Like I was saying before, tying in, like, it works in a children's film kind of way. It works in a Jumanji sort of way, so fine, whatever.
Jumanji is a really apt comparison as far as like level of how gruesome it is and kind of the child danger sort of matrix going on.
Right.
2001, what a year. I was looking up other movies. I always like to just, when I think of a movie and I judge it, I always try to judge it, or I consider what also was coming out around that time. Ones I noticed and liked, Evolution, starring David Duchovny,
I liked Evolution.
Orlando Jones.
Underrated.
Very good movie, and I think that's a good example of why cheesy CGI can work. It's
Yeah.
kind of Evolution has a very tongue-in-cheek style, so you don't really care that the monsters look goofy. And
Right, they took a very, like, Ghostbusters approach to the whole
yeah,
thing.
totally. Also, and while we're talking about questionable CGI, Final Fantasy Spirits Within came out this year.
Ugh,
And I think that movie
God.
is just a bad movie more than
Yeah,
it looks
that's
like
the
an ass.
thing.
That movie
They
just
they made a
not.
huge deal about the technology, and I was like, oh yeah, I can't fucking wait to watch this. It is so fucking boring.
Just goes on and on about nothing. Also that year, Planet of the Mark Wahlbergs.
Oh yeah.
That movie I think looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably peak makeup. They definitely improved the actor coming through the makeup versus the old Charlton Heston days.
Everybody was a little bit horny for Helena Bonham Carter Ape.
I was just gonna say she does a really good job. Paul Giamatti already kind of looks like an orangutan,
Right,
so
he was halfway there.
and then I would never get this right. Michael Clark Duncan or Michael Duncan Clark.
Michael Clark Duncan.
But yeah, they all come through in a way. I don't know the actors from the Charlton Heston days, but like from what I've seen in interviews and from what I know, you don't really get the actor through that old monkey makeup as much as
Yeah,
you
the
did
faces
now.
were very static. Like, they weren't very expressive.
Another little bit of inter-Spielberg friendly fire. A month earlier, AI came out.
Oh yeah, I think that's what Spielberg was doing instead of this movie.
I don't
Harry
like this.
Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
The first Harry
2001.
Potter
First
movie.
Harry Potter, yeah.
Did you ever make anything happen? Anything you couldn't explain? You're a Harry wizard.
Man. Did John Williams do the music for Jurassic Park 3?
Oh, no, he did not do the music for Jurassic Park 3.
I
That's
didn't think he did.
another thing I meant to mention I didn't like. Although, it's fine. People do fine just taking John Williams' score and vaguely adapting it. There's a whole cottage industry.
But yeah, I don't have anything else really to say about this movie. I really like it. It hits me right in the childhood every time.
Yeah. I think it's okay. I think it is definitely the Superman 3 of Jurassic Park 3s. No, it's better than Superman 3.
It's been a while.
I'll think of a different threequel that's like fine, and we'll edit it in post.
It is The Dark Knight Rises.
It is The Dark Knight Rises of Jurassic Park 3s.
Do you feel in charge?
Anything else we want to say to everybody who's listening?
I know that you're listening, cloned Michael Crichton. No more theme parks. Enough with the theme parks.
Clone Michael Crichton, maybe a book about an evil 3D printer. All right, well, thanks for listening. I've been Johnny.
I continue to be Ben.
Yeah, Jurassic Park 3.
Good
In
night and good
Jurassic
news.
Park, there are
Number 3
dinosaurs.
for the third time.